Welcome everybody, Bo here, Football Talk, and as a Hawks fan, I get asked a lot what I think of Russ and how he's doing in Denver, and if I agree with some of the media where they're saying he's washed and or that Pete was protecting him from himself. So I don't think he's washed per se. I do think he has a problem with buying into his own hype a little bit. As soon as he started being called the best moon ball thrower, um, he really started looking for the long ball first. Didn't really like to use his checkdowns or tight ends. He tend to use his tight ends more in the red zone ish area, but for the most part, those short passes weren't exactly things that he loved, especially towards the end of his tenure in Seattle. Um, some of the other things that have become an issue is he doesn't run the ball, and some of that is he bulked up a bit, being behind some bad offensive lines. So the problem with that is, although he might be able to take a hit a little bit better, he's no longer as elusive. So even if we take the age factor out of it and we just add the weight and the fact that he's not as able to escape pursuit, um, it definitely changes the way defenses have to play him, because they no longer have to play off thinking that he's going to bounce around the outside and get away from you. Now, he does still have pretty decent straight line speed, so it's not that he's slow. He just doesn't have that cut and elusiveness that he used to. And so I really don't think that he's washed, but I do think they didn't get what they thought they were getting. Um, Now, some of his decision making in Denver has been interesting. Some of the throws have been more like legacy ball driven than, at least from the outside, that's what it looks like, because there's some balls that he's forced into spots where he could have easily ran and picked up 1 yard, or thrown to a check down to pick up the yard, as opposed to forcing a ball. Or at the end of the game, they put it in his hands, and of course Sherm lost his mind saying run the damn ball. And to a degree, that absolutely is what should have happened. I mean, I get that they're trying to give Russ the opportunity to be the guy and galvanize the players around him, but at this point, timing hasn't been very good and communication has been terrible. Just offensive management from the coaching staff has been bad. So you have to imagine that with the way things are going, that Hackett has to be on the hot seat. Matt Rule has already been fired this week, and so I would think that Hackett, and probably, as much as I hate to say it, Dan Campbell's probably looking at getting on the hot seat here. Um, you know, it's too bad, but I think some of that is definitely true. Um, and Josh McDaniels, that's the other one I have to say is probably going to be looking at being on the hot seat. All these teams are underachieving for the amount of talent that they have. On paper, all these teams should be killing it. And I mean, I take that back. The Lions shouldn't be killing it, but they should be doing much better than they are. Of these coaches, I hope Dan Campbell does get more time. Such a good dude. His players fight for him. I mean, they're in every single game, despite a lot of these being outmatched as far as talent, with the exception of the New England game this last week where they got shut out against a third string quarterback. I don't know what happened, but man, that was a horrible football game for them. That was one that I thought they were going to be able to go in and just clean house on, especially the way they've been putting up points to that point. But getting back to the Russ situation, I don't know what the fix is here, but the current layout of the way things are going clearly isn't working. And realistically, they could easily be 0-5. But I haven't seen anything that makes you think that the fan base is happy about Russ being there. It was hilarious that they really went after Hawks fans for booing his return, but they've literally booed him every single game since then. And the fans leaving the stadium in a tie game with a few minutes to go. That was obviously going into overtime. Absolutely crazy to me. I mean, talk about losing faith in your team. It was a bad look on the fan base as well. I mean, it's a tie game. You're in the game, so there's no reason to be leaving. That was unfortunate. Not really for Broncos, but just as fan bases, it's just something that I hate seeing people leave early anyway. I've been to so many games, and even when we're getting blown out or have a huge lead or whatever, I'm going to watch until it's 0-0s. If there was ever a game to really solidify what can happen in the last 4 minutes, it would have been that championship game against Green Bay for Seattle. I mean, they were out of that game all day, and then just a series of unfortunate events for Packers fans. They give that game away right at the end, and so yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously, as far as the spin of was Pete protecting Russ from himself, time will tell on that because Russ seems to have kind of free reign of what he wants to do. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can get this thing turned around. Now they're married to Russ for the next 7 years since his contract doesn't actually start for 2 years. So if the bus doesn't get turned around here, I think Hackett is gone by the end of the season. Definitely a one and done if the offensive woes continue the way that they are. But if they can turn it around and at least make it a respectable 500 team, the fan base will be mad, but I bet Hackett gets a second year. If they continue to slide, I would imagine he's one and done. This is starting to look like there's probably your standard 5 or 6 coaches getting fired this year. So anyway, that's kind of the way I'm feeling. The way Russ is going, it's not that he's been terrible. He has put up some stats, but just not good enough, and hasn't been good at key moments. So again, time will tell, and we'll see how this pans out. But my early prediction of a playoff team is probably not the case. I'm not entirely sure the way they're playing right now that they're even going to have a winning record. So that's what I think about that. Go ahead and blow me up underneath and like, subscribe, and let me know how much you don't like this tape.